Hello everyone, my name is Yoshimitsu, and welcome to the Japanese lore of Dark Souls. As the title implies, I'll be referring to the original Japanese text over the translated English text. If there's any discrepancies between the two versions, I will always take what the original Japanese states as fact. I take this approach as many lore elements have been lost due to translations, and I'm hoping that I can bring some answers to long debated and unanswered lore questions, and also offer some new theories as well. Let's begin. In this video, I'll be covering one of the 6 paintings that are guarded by the Silver Knights in Irithyll. This video will be in regards to the painting of Anor Londo, or to be specific, the gods of Anor Londo. I'll first start with Lord Gwyn. Maki no O Gwyn no soul. 偉大なる太陽の光の王にして、最初の火を継いだ薪の王グインのソウル。その力の多くは神々に分け与えられ、また最初の火の薪として灰になってしまったが、それでもなお大王のソウルは尋常ならざる力を秘めている。Soul of Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight and Cinder, who linked the first flame. Lord Gwyn bequeathed most of his power to the gods and burned as cinder for the first flame. But even so, Lord Gwyn's soul is a powerful thing indeed. 大王の体験。薪の王グインのソウルから生まれた体験。最も強いソウルの王グインは太陽の光たる雷を武器としていたが、棺を前にその力を一族に分け与え、自らはこの体験だけを手に旅立ったという。Great sword born from the soul of Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. As bearer of the ultimate soul, Gwyn wielded the bolts of the sun, but before linking the fire, divided that power amongst his children, and set off with only this great sword as his companion. So one thing that I do want to cover is regarding the word Maki no O, which has been translated as Lord of Cinder. Maki means firewood, and O means king. So Maki no O should correctly be translated as King of Firewood. And what we can confirm from these two texts is that Lord Gwyn passed his powers onto his children and the gods. One child that inherited Lord Gwyn's power is his firstborn. Kaminari no Oyari, Great Lightning Spear. 最古の王グインが太陽の槍で竜を狩り、やがてその任は長子の王槍に引き継がれる。Gwyn, the first lord, slew dragons with his sunlight spear, a tradition upheld by his firstborn and the great spear he wielded, and the ring of the sun's firstborn. 太陽の長子の指輪。太陽の光を継いだグイン王の長子がかつてつけていたとされる古く汚れた指輪。Lord Gwyn's firstborn, who inherited the sunlight, once wore this ancient ring. One thing I do want to cover with the Great Lightning Spear is regarding the statement, やがてはその任は長子の王槍に引き継がれる. This portion has been translated as a tradition upheld by his firstborn and the great spear he wielded. But I believe it should be translated as a duty inherited by his firstborn and the great spear he wielded. And these two texts confirm the firstborn inherited Gwyn's sunlight. And I believe this firstborn is the Nameless King that we encounter in Dark Souls 3. Ryugari no Kensou, the Dragonslayer Sword Spear. 竜狩りの戦神であった頃からずっと変わらず無名の王の手にあり、彼が引き継いだ大雷の力を帯びている。Its owner was the Nameless King, a deific hunter of dragons. The sword spear is imbued with lightning, of which he was the heir. The first part of the English translation is a little off, and I believe it should say something more along the lines of, this weapon has been in the hands of the Nameless King ever since his days as the dragon-slaying war god. 黄金の王冠 Golden Crown 古流の同盟者無名の王の冠逆立つ灰の長毛に隠れた黄金の王冠は最古の王のそれに近しいと言われている Crown of a nameless king who was allied to the ancient dragons. This golden crown buried amidst long strands of bristling ash is said to closely resemble that of the first lord. 黄金の腕輪 Golden bracelets この黄金の腕輪そして黄金の胸当ても冠と同様最古の王に近しいと言われている These golden bracelets, together with the golden breastplate and crown, are said to closely resemble those of the First Lord. And when you compare the crown that Lord Gwyn is wearing with the crown that the Nameless King is wearing, similarities between the two crowns can be confirmed. And even when comparing their armor and clothing, the same similarness can be confirmed as well. I think it's fairly safe to assume the Nameless King is Gwyn's firstborn son, and I'd like to talk about a tale regarding the Nameless King. 固い誓い Sacred Oath 太陽の長子と その筆頭騎士、そして竜狩りの剣士の物語は最も勇壮な竜狩り譚であるという。This is the tale of the sons of Firstborn, his faithful first knight, and the brave Dragonslayer who served them both. So we know the son's Firstborn is the Nameless King, and this first knight is Dragonslayer Ornstein. Ornstein は太陽の長子の筆頭騎士であり、その十字装は岩の鱗をも貫いたという。Ornstein was the first knight of the son's eldest born, and his crossspear is said to have pierced scales made of stone. Ornstein の兜、Ornstein's helm. Ornstein は4騎士の長とされ、その黄金獅子の兜は雷の力を帯びる。Ornstein is believed to be the captain of the four knights. His golden lion helm is imbued with the power of lightning and should provide good protection against it. And the Dragonslayer spear, 竜狩りの槍。竜狩りのオーンスタインの名で知られる十字装、雷の刃を帯びた神代の武器。Cross spear associated with Ornstein the Dragonslayer, a weapon of the gods imbued with the strength of lightning. And regarding this cross spear, it's very likely the weapon of the Firstborn was the originator of this weapon, the Dragonslayer sword spear. 神代の竜狩りの武器、十字装の原型であり、剣と槍の性質を併せ持つ。A dragon hunting weapon from the Age of Gods, the earliest form of the cross spear, serving as both a sword and a spear. Here we can confirm the Dragonslayer sword spear is likely the archetype of the cross spear. In Japanese, the word that's used is genkei, which can be translated as archetype or prototype. Moving on to the Dragonslayer. Kaminari no Ken, lightning blade. 竜狩りの剣士の物語は今やほとんど知られておらず、わずかに辺境にキレキレに伝わるのみであるという。Tales of dragon slayers are now a rare thing, told only in fragments and whispers in remote regions. In the original, this dragon slayer is clearly written as a swordsman. Both Lightning Blade and Sacred Oath clearly write Ryugari no Kenshi, which translates to dragon slaying swordsman. Now I do have a theory regarding the original master of the Dragonslayer armor. I believe the original master of the Dragonslayer armor is the Dragonslayer mentioned in Sacred Oath and Lightning Blade. Ryugari no Yoroi no Soul, Dragonslayer armor soul. 巡礼の長に操られた竜狩りの鎧ははるか昔に主を失い、だがその狩りを記憶していた。The Dragonslayer armor, controlled by the pilgrim butterfly, lost its master long ago, but still remembers their sporting hunts. Here we can confirm the Dragonslayer armor had a previous master, and I also believe the Dragonslayer Great Axe may have previously been a sword. When you look closely at the Dragonslayer Great Axe, there's a portion of this weapon that quite frankly looks like a cross spear. And there's actually another connection between the Dragonslayer and the Nameless King. Ryugari no Daifu. Dragonslayer Great Axe. 竜狩りの鎧の一部であった溶鉄の大風、強い雷の力を帯び、また戦技により古い竜狩りの戦い様がわずかに蘇る。Melted iron great axe that once formed part of the Dragonslayer armor, thickly imbued with power of lightning, use skill to draw upon the techniques used to slay the archdragons. And I want to focus on the skill of this weapon. 戦技は落雷。大きく掲げた斧に激しい雷をまとい、それを地面に叩きつけ落雷をなす。Skill, falling bolt. Hold axe high in the air to gather fierce lightning and smash ground to whip the bolts to the ground. Falling bolt is translated from rakurai, and rakurai should be translated as lightning strike. The weapon the Nameless King wields also shares this skill. 竜狩りの剣装。戦技は落雷。剣装を大きく天に掲げ、離れた敵の頭上に激しい落雷を呼ぶ。Skill, falling bolt. Hold sword spear high in the air to summon fierce lightning that descends upon distant foes. Falling bolt again comes from rakurai, and both weapons call forth Hageshii Rakurai, which is translated as fierce lightning. And the miracle of the Nameless King is Arashi no Rakurai, lightning storm. 古流の同盟者無名の王の奇跡、激しい落雷を呼ぶ。Miracle of the Nameless King, allied to the ancient dragons, calls forth furious bolts of lightning. Furious bolts of lightning is translated from Hageshii Rakurai. Both the Dragonslayer Sword Spear and the Dragonslayer Great Axe both call forth Hageshii Rakurai. And I believe this links the old Dragonslayer to the Nameless King. I believe the three knights mentioned in Sacred Oath consists of the Nameless King, Dragonslayer Ornstein, and the Old Dragonslayer. And now I want to bring the conversation back to the sun's firstborn, the Nameless King. 嵐の落雷。かつて竜狩りの先神であった彼は、生涯嵐の竜を戦場の友とした。これはきっとその一対の物語であろう。Once a slayer of dragons, the former king and war god tamed a storm drake, on which he led a lifetime of battle. This miracle is likely a tale of their bond. 無名の王のソウル。Soul of the Nameless King。無名の王はかつて竜狩りの先神であったが、ある時すべてを捨て、古竜の同盟者となった。The Nameless King was once a dragon-slaying god of war before he sacrificed everything to ally himself with the ancient dragons. 太陽のメダル Sunlight Medal シンボルの主太陽の光の長子はすべての記録とともに神を追われて久しいが未だ先神として戦士たちを見守っている。The symbol represents Lord Gwyn's firstborn, who lost his deity status and was expunged from the annals, but the old god of war still watches closely over his warriors. I believe what caused the sun's firstborn to ally himself with the ancient dragons lies with the storm drake. In the original Japanese, the storm drake is referred to as a battle compatriot of the Nameless King, not a tamed beast. It's very likely the Nameless King met with the storm drake in battle and they became best friends, and this, I believe, is what led to the Nameless King allying himself with the ancient dragons. And before the Nameless King left Anor Londo, he visited his father Gwyn's coffin and left a miracle. 太陽の光の剣 Sunlight Blade 空っぽの大王の棺に繋いだれたそれは神を追われた彼の別れの言葉だっただろうか When the eldest son was stripped of his deific status, he left this on his father's coffin, perhaps as a final farewell. One thing that's lost in translation is the fact that Gwyn's coffin was actually empty. And this also confirms the timeline of when the Nameless King left Anor Londo, which would be after Gwyn had linked the First Flame. And once the Nameless King allied himself with the ancient dragons, the dragon-slaying tale between father and son became unfinished. Kaminari no Oyari, Great Lightning Spear. 最古の王グインが太陽の槍で竜を狩り、やがてその任は長子の大槍に引き継がれる。親子二代の壮大な物語はだが未完であるという。Gwyn, the First Lord, slew dragons with his sunlight spear, a tradition upheld by his firstborn and the great spear he wielded. Much of this resplendent tale of father and son, while epic, remains tragically untold. In the original Japanese, this epic tale is said to be mikan, which does not translate to tragically untold. It actually translates to unfinished. The tale of father and son is not untold, it is unfinished. And lastly, in the boss battle with the Nameless King, once we defeat the Storm Drake, we can observe the Nameless King claim its soul. Arashi no Kyokken, Storm Curved Sword. 古竜の同盟者たる無名の王は生涯嵐の竜を戦場の友とし、竜が倒れた時、そのソウルを己のものとした。神よではそれは戦友の習わしであったのだ。The Nameless King, ally of the ancient dragons, fought beside the Storm Drake in countless battles. When the great beast fell, the king claimed his soul, as was the custom in the Age of Gods. Like earlier, the Storm Drake here is described as a great beast. And in the original Japanese, the Storm Drake is described as Senjou no Tomo or Senyu, both pretty much translating into battle compatriot. It's very likely, ever since the Nameless King left Anor Londo and became the ally of ancient dragons, they have been together since then, and I believe they're best friends. Thanks for watching, everyone. I kind of focused on the Firstborn a little bit more than anyone else, but in my next video I will be covering a different god of Anor Londo. And until then, don't you dare go hollow.